What is going on out there, peeps? All right, let's get back in what's going on in Iraq because there's a lot of news. A lot of it is positive, and to be quite honest with you, despite the couple of missile attacks, everything has been really good. It seems to be shaping up really nicely over there. I'm hoping that's the case, at least according to the news. We're going to get into that here in just a moment. You guys know if you're thinking about buying precious metals, because tomorrow is June 28th, get on the internet and order some now before the prices shoot up. Give a consideration to our friends over at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. If you are a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and get a free half-ounce of silver. For those of you looking for my address, there it is. And you guys know about this alternative website for me. I can post videos over here that I can't post on YouTube. I encourage you to come over here and check these out. A video was posted today. It was pretty powerful. I'm hoping that this one right here, I hope that you guys, I hope if you watch it, you guys will let me come back and comment and let me know your feelings on that. And, it's pretty powerful, and I hope people understand. But it's a message that's in there. It's pretty strong. It covers some really nice tear-jerking things. But I would love to get your feedback on it. Let me know what you think. You guys know we got Pimpy's investment chat. Over here we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. Come on here and join us. It's free to do so. The link is down below in the description. All right, so in case you're not sure what's going on over in Iraq, things were flowing really good. And then there was a drone attack. Nothing was really damaged. Good. And there wasn't a big what to do about it. But the U.S. Department decided they would respond, and they did. 2 missile attacks. So what they targeted was an ammunition depot for the Hezbollah and a couple of factories. So this was really good about slowing them down. So it says on here, the U.S. Department of Defense revealed at dawn on Monday new information about the missile strikes that targeted sites on the Iraq-Syrian border. So first from the Pentagon said the strikes were accurate against facilities and weapon depots used by Iranian-backed factions in the 2 locations in Syria and another in Iraq. The strike targeted sites of the Hezbollah Brigade and the other name, I don't know how to pronounce it, in the border area between Iraq and Syria. In the context, the spokesperson said that the U.S. military strike in Iraq and Syria, it is estimated that each strike hit the intended target, and we are currently evaluating the effects of the operation. The strikes were necessary, appropriate to deliberate measures to reduce the risk of escalation. Remember, they started launching off missiles into Erbil, so to just keep it from getting any worse, the United States stepped in. We want to explain this is what gets me about this sentence. We want to explain to Iran the consequences of supporting the militia. We don't have to explain anything. Nobody's actually going in there telling them to behave themselves. They got John Kerry is a little water boy. He's married to a woman whose father, I believe, is one of the leaders there. So anytime he's involved, we definitely, I just don't trust them. So they're making it look like, oh, we're taking a tough stance, but I'm sure there's some type of backdoor agreement with them. Just, behave yourself for the most part, and we'll make sure you get the deal that you want on this Iranian nuclear deal. So we'll see. But anyways, they're like, we'll talk to them, explain. They should know something by now. They already sent out their battleships to test Biden, and he did nothing about it. It almost reminds me of the days when Obama was in office and he allowed our military to be boarded and our sailors to be taken by gunpoint, and they videotaped it. That's the same type of administration we're dealing with now. The elimination of these factions will disrupt and weaken the operational capacity of the armed groups and deter additional attacks. We hope that's what we want to do. Keep it peaceful over there. Keep it really stable. That's what we want. Okay? So as the Air Force that did it, they went ahead, hit their targets, F-15 and X-16. For the most part, all you got to know is there was Iranian-backed factions that were knocked out, the Hezbollah, So they took out some buildings as well as, ammunition depots, making it really hard on them. So that's what this long article goes in about it. They're talking about the fact that they use drones to strike. So one of the facilities that they blew up was a facility that housed the drones. So good. So the bombs hit the target. That's what we want. He pointed out that our forces are present in Iraq at the invitation of the government in order to help defeat ISIS. Or the ISIS. The raids near the Iranian-Syrian border were appropriately limited in scope and necessary to confront the threat. Good. Get rid of it. So in here is just another article that says basically the same thing. The first Arab comment on the Baghdad summit. So we know the tripartite meeting between Jordan, Egypt, and Iraq. They got together again. They did this last year. And they talked about pretty much the same thing. How each country can help each other out economically, trade, security, how they can lend each other different experiences for training. This is all good, but they also talked about other subject matters in here that are down here just a little bit further, because all these articles are pretty much the same. But so here it is. It says this is the Baghdad summit. Who is all involved? Support and praise. They were talking about how good things are going, how things have been stable. This is good. This is what we want, especially dealing with the ISIS. So things are going good, but they need to stay on top of it so that it doesn't get out of control. So the Iraqi elections that are coming up, the leaders of the two countries also provided the support for the preparation of the Iraq government. There's a lot of people involved in this election. I mean, this is huge. Very curious. There's a lot of things going on. You got the United Nations, all the surrounding countries, the United States, all making sure. Even Russia is involved. So very, very interesting. A lot of people are watching this. Because again, you guys got to understand that Iraq is the gateway into the Middle East. You know, the ports, you just drive all the way up in that bay. And right where one of their biggest port is, I believe that they share with Saudi Arabia. Might be wrong, but it's a huge port. You could do a lot of major shipping in and out of that port. So it's supposed to be being rebuilt at the moment. So there's a dam they wanted to talk about. It says the positions of Egypt and Sudan on the issues of the dam stress the need to refrain from taking any unilateral measures, including continuing to fill the dam without them reaching a fair agreement. So Jordanians realized that the water runs through them and down to these other countries. And they're like, screw these other countries. We can make money off them. How do you do that? Well, we'll just put a dam there, block all the water, so they have no water coming down to them. So, of course, they're not very thrilled about it, and so they're trying to come up with a agreement. The Palestinian issue over there, okay? So this is what we talked about. This is what they're doing to keep peace over there. I love this. It says the three leaders stressed the need to activate efforts to achieve and just and comprehensive peace that means all the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people and to archive their legitimate demands to obtain their independent state on June 4th, 1967. Those lines, they want it to be what the original agreement was. With East Jerusalem as its capital, in accordance with international law and resolutions of international legitimacy. Ooh, man, remember we just moved our whatchamajig there in Jerusalem, at least Trump did, our embassy. So they want that territory as agreed upon in agreement from 1967. The leaders affirm, according to the final statement, resolving the conflict on the basis of international legitimacy resolutions is the only way to achieve a joint comprehensive and lasting peace in the region, noting at the same time the need to Israel to stop all measures that undermine the chances of achieving just peace, including those that it aims to change the historic and legal status quo in Jerusalem and its Islamic and Christian holy sites. Yeah, see, when you start playing around with their religions, you know, their holy sites, their churches, you know, that really draws the ire from people. It really does. It does make a difference when you follow, if you follow at all. But, you know, some people take their relationship with their chosen gods very seriously. So when you mess with their books or their churches, it can be really bad. Then it went on to thank Egypt and for taking the time out to try to iron things out during that escalation between Gaza and Israel. So that went on there. They talked about Syria, that is. It says the leaders of 3 countries reviewed the current regional and international developments in the effort to reach political solution to the crisis. There's supposed to be a civil war going on there. In accordance with relevant Security Council resolutions and approved references, the leaders stressed the need to reach a political solution to the Syrian crisis based on Security Council resolution 2245. So what they want to do is bring their security, stability, cohesion in Syria and provide appropriate conditions for the voluntary return of the refugees. Lebanon. In a related context, the leaders also talked about this, expressing their wishes for the interim presidential council and the interim government success in managing transitional phase and their support for the efforts to hold the elections on their scheduled date for December 2021. So they have an interim governmentship right now at the moment, and elections are the following year in December, or actually this year in December. It's about the same time, I think, October for Iraq? The leaders stressed, in accordance to the final statement, the exit of all foreign forces and mercenaries from Libya in a way that contributes to restoring the sovereignty and territorial integrity and stability. Yes, bring stability there. The leaders of Iraq and Jordan also valued the tireless Egyptian efforts to go in there and keep peace. Yemen, that's different. They still got a slave trade over there, so I'm curious to see what it is. If people are going to do anything about this. The countries that seem to be ignoring it and allowing the UN to control it, and they're not doing anything. On the other hand, the 3 leaders reviewed the developments and efforts to reach political solutions to the crisis in Yemen according to the approval references and support of the United Nations. Reach a political solution that achieves security and stability in this brotherly country. So the leaders also agreed that adherence to the principles of the good neighbors, non-interference in the international affairs of countries, and pursuit of common interests. So you can see they seem to be working on stabilizing the entire Middle East. We had that Abraham Peace Accord going. Countries seem to be talking to each other about trade, security, stability. Things seem to be calming down a little bit. This is all good news. If they can get the Middle East to calm down, you got outside investors, you know the story. I talk about it all the time. Anyways, then they go on to talk about the different ways in which they can help each other by trade, job experiences, training one another, how to build up their economies, how to start building the different private sectors, how each group can help one another, including security and fights against ISIS. The article is pretty long. The high meeting in finance to discuss the projects of the white papers. So Alawi went in there, and what they're talking about, basically they're giving them an update on what's going on in regards to the white papers. Again, more good news. So Alawi was there with a bunch of people, and they give you a whole list of whoever was there. That's so let's get past this. It says the finance minister and a number from the general managers during which the implementation of the projects approved financial and economical reform plan related to the access to the government's expenditures, including the project to reduce the gap in the public budget deficit at safe levels, was followed up. The public spending project was discussed and worked towards directing to enhance the investment aspect with positive returns for the benefit of the overall national economy. So the meeting discussed the study of the government's support for public companies and a focus on support towards productive sectors and companies contributing to the gross domestic product. This is good. This is actually great news. It's about damn time. For years they've been talking about this stuff and they never actually did it, or the people, it was just used for a corrupt as a corrupt tool. People were giving money out for projects, and the people either stalled or didn't plan it right or didn't do what they were said they were going to do. Just took the money. Continuing efforts and works towards maximizing non-oil revenues, moving towards reducing the financial expenditures borne by the state budget as a result of burdens of financial support for the public companies with high rates, which cast a shadow of negative effects on the development of the rest of the positive sectors. So they lent out money, but they did it at a high interest rate, and that's why they failed. This time around, I think they're interest-free. Okay? There's a long article about all the things that were accomplished during the tripartite. Again, more good news. It's baby steps, but it's still continuing to go in the right direction, people. That's right. The dollar continues to be weak against the Iraqi dinar. Now, again, they're tiny baby steps, but at least they're continuing to go in the right direction. That's what we want to hear. It is now down to 1,467 dinars for every $1. Come on, dinar. And let's get over here. Where are you at? Okay, so the Iraqi finance minister pledges to facilitate the procedures of the petrodollar funds. So there was a comment that was made about the petrodollar funds, come to find out, or at least this is what they're saying on a record, that there was a misunderstanding of the money. And so they don't want the money to be taken to use for what the finance minister had said they were going to do with it, but instead let it go to all the things that it was originally set up to do, which is, let's see, where's it at? The committee clarified the financial burden of the petrodollar fund within the accounts of the committee, which 3.5 trillion dinars, 1 trillion dinars is in the budget. 2.5 trillion dinars remain unallocated for oil imports, and within the accounts of the committee that $1.5 per barrel of the oil is supposed to go to the petrodollar fund. After this correction was made, the finance minister expressed his willingness to reverse his decision to stop the implementation of this paragraph, and therefore it is implemented in order to, or for the oil producing governance, that the oil activities to reflect on services, projects, and provide job opportunities and services for the centers. Yes, give them more job. Fix up your facilities. Make them updated. Some of them are really old. Create more jobs. That's what we like. So they had their talk. The ministry was going to use the funds to help pay for some of the deficit. But the truth of the matter, the deficit at the current rate will be paid off if the oil prices don't drop again. Within our expectation, the largest funding is salaries, and it may have an increase in funding up to 15% as a result of lack of control from the ministry over this file. That's from the past years. And therefore, we expect funding to decrease, to move towards real funding and real numbers of employees by 15%, which is not a small amount. This is good. So what happened was people, these corrupt people, would get multiple paychecks. They would create fake employees. These corrupt people would, people within the government, and they would get payment for these fake employees. So they had multiple money coming to them at one time. All right. So you can see there's a lot of great positive news. It really is. There's a lot of good things happening over there. The country seem to be working together to do what they can to get their feet back on the ground. And as I was talking about, see, there are other things we can keep an eye on. All right. Keep an eye on besides an RI or an RV. Now, again, right now it's baby steps. But look, as long as they keep doing what they're doing right now and the corruption stops, the money's coming in. It's going to developing jobs, facilities, schools, hospitals, people going back to work. That's exactly what you want. Anyways, that's it for now, you guys. Let me know what you think. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel. And I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later. I'm out.